Oh, Kramer. It's a little, coffee with medicine. I'm drinking coffee in my mouth, so.
It's coffee as well. There you go.
Yeah. Watch out.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. We're going to kick our study session off. We're going to start with Paul Hughes from the State of Kansas Secretary Office and Natalie Muratu, Chief Executive Officer of the EDC, on data centers reviews. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, commissioners and everyone for attending. I wanted to start by saying something simple. Dickinson County makes better decisions when it is informed. That has always been true and is especially true today. Over the past several weeks, our office has been paying attention to what's going on around us. And there is a topic generating a lot of conversation right now, data centers, and what that kind of development entails. We have heard some of the positives, we've heard the concerns, we've heard questions about water use, power demand, noise, and other impacts, as well as the guardrails that exist to protect communities when large-scale investment comes knocking. Questions deserve real answers, in fact, not rumor, and not incomplete information from either direction. That is exactly why I am here, and I had Paul Hughes come in today. The Kansas Department of Commerce is the state agency responsible for understanding, evaluating, and guiding major economic development projects across Kansas. They work directly with communities, utility providers, county governments, and developers to understand what protections are in place, what questions communities should be asking, and what the state of Kansas requires before projects of this nature enter into our communities. Our guest this morning, Paul Hughes, the Deputy Commerce Secretary, brings that expertise directly to Dickinson County, not to advocate for any particular project or outcome, but to make sure our commissioners and our community have accurate, complete information as a foundation for any future conversation. I do want to be transparent about one thing this morning. Paul is here on the official capacity on behalf of the Kansas Department of Commerce, which means he will be addressing questions from our commissioners. If you're here as a community member with questions, I want to encourage you to reach out to the county commissioners directly or to present questions to our office. And we're committed to making sure your questions get to the right people and receive the right answers. This morning is about education, nothing more, nothing less. Because whatever direction Dickinson County ultimately goes on this topic or any other, we will get there the right way, with open eyes, good information, and the kind of thoughtful leadership this community has always deserved. Now I will turn the time over to Paul Hughes from the Kansas Department of Commerce. Paul.
This is going to be my signal for the slides to advance on the PowerPoint deck. So good morning, Commissioner, Mr. Chair. Thank you for having me here today. I feel like I'm standing right in the way. With your permission, I'd like to do this monitor here. But just real quickly about, can we advance to the next slide? Mm-hmm. So just a quick introduction of myself. My name is Paul Hughes. I've been in economic development for about 10 years now. Originally started in the state of Arizona. And at that time, a big data center was a 25 or 50 megawatt data center. And you're talking about a high water user in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. And so we had a lot of lively conversations around what that industry meant to the state. but they saw value there. And today they are the 5th largest market in the country, even though for data centers, even though they're located in the middle of the desert. So that happens through an advancement of technology, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So hang on, let's go back one more slide forward.
That's my first one.
All right, that's the next slide. There.
Okay.
So a key thing to know about this industry is they speak a different language when they come into town or when they come to us with a project of theirs. Most projects we work with, they'll describe the size of the project in terms of square footage of the building, how many people they're hiring within the facility, the wages that go with that. And that's kind of the beginning of the discussion. And some discussion around the degree of confidentiality they require. This industry is really different. They come into town and the first thing they're talking about is power. Like we're a 25 megawatt data center. We're a 200 megawatt data center, but that's how they describe their size. And so that's the beginning of the conversation in any community. When you're talking about a data center, the first question is, what size data center are we talking about? A 5 megawatt data center can easily fit within a standard shipping container. You won't even notice them in the community. A larger one, the 200 megawatt, the 500 megawatt, those tend to be a larger campus of data centers. But it's important to know that not only the size of the data center, but what's going on inside of the data center is also important. A hyperscaler is using the latest cutting edge server technology in every facility that they have. And that usually means that they're replacing that equipment every 24 to 30 or 36 months. It's a complete swap out of equipment inside of the data center. So to them, it's really important to have a sales tax exemption on that equipment because they're doing it so much. And on a $2 billion data center, $1 billion that is a safe bet on what the equipment costs are going to be. At the other end of the scale, we have what are called co-located data centers. And those are the ones that they tend to be smaller, but not always. We've got a couple in the state there in that 50 megawatt range. Stellar Forge is it's a Kansas company, and they're pretty busy here with their co-located data centers. And I would describe those more as almost like a condominium complex or an apartment complex. There's an owner of the facility, but what goes on inside of each cell within that facility is private activity. So they're less concerned about energy costs because that passes through to the end user. And they're less concerned about the sales tax exemptions because they're not replacing their equipment at anywhere near the frequency that the hyperscalers are. So there's a whole language in how they measure the efficiency of their data centers. That ties into water use. And so we'll get into that in a little bit. Because when you're talking about water, you're really talking about cooling. That's what they're talking about, the type of cooling that they're using. Can you go to the next one, please? Mm-hmm. So we're this talk of this surge of data centers coming into Kansas. And when you look at this map here, this is current as of November of 2025. And when you look at the map, you see Kansas is actually very, very late to the data center growth footprint. And there are some really large states in terms of data centers. Virginia takes the cake, topping out at over 650 data centers. And what you see there is that's intentionality. Those are markets that saw data centers as an important part of supporting the technological developments that are going within their communities. Texas has Austin and Dallas and everything that's going on there. California and Silicon Valley requires little explanation. In Virginia, it's DoD work and government work that they're doing that's growing the data center business in Virginia. So they saw that as an important part of developing their communities in service to data centers that requires, the power infrastructure and everything else to go with it, traffic infrastructure, all of that. But that doesn't happen by accident, was my point. That requires a lot of intentionality to make that happen. But what's happening here in Kansas is there's this, we want to point at one thing and say, that's why this is happening in Kansas. And then, as we all know, we've all got enough years behind us to know it's never one thing. It's a combination of things. So in Kansas, there's been a lot of infrastructure investment in the state. And in part to support this industry. So a little bit of how our data moves around. Prior to that, the Wichita Internet Exchange Point, or the IXP, all data in Kansas shipped out of Kansas, went to some other point to get sorted, and then would come back in. So it would either go to Kansas City, Missouri, it would go to St. Louis, Dallas, or Colorado, because we didn't have an internet exchange point. And a few years ago, Commerce provided a $5 million grant to WSU to host the state's first internet exchange point. And that is handling traffic today. We've also seen a lot of broadband growth. We wanted to have a state where every community had the internet access and connectivity that they needed. And so there's been considerable investment in broadband. And then just recently, Q4 last year, the Southwest Power Pool approved they revisited a decision that they were really looking at in 2007. And that is, what size transmission lines do we need to have in Kansas as part of the Southwest Power Pool? For cost reasons, they chose 365 kV. They revisited that now, and they're improving those transmission lines to 765 kV. That's a lot of power. And they're moving a lot around within the Southwest Power Pool. Their forecast is that the Southwest Power Pool, a 7-state consortium, is going to require 136% more power in 10 years than it does today. So you double wind, double solar, double gas-fired, double nuclear, and you're still short. Like this is an energy-intensive future that we're heading into, and this is what they've been predicting for some time now, before the data center and AI rush came in. The other thing that happened in the state in terms of data centers is the passage of SB 98. It was a bill specific to large data centers. They have to have an investment of $250 million or more in the data center. And it provides a sales tax exemption to them on their equipment for 20 years. That is the state and local sales tax. But there's a provision in there, actually two that are really important, because Kansas leads the nation in it. And one is grid security. There is no other state in the nation that requires what Kansas does, that these projects go through a review process called the Intelligence Fusion Center, which is part of the state's Attorney General office. And I take confidentiality serious. So when I violate confidentiality, I get in legal trouble. When they violate confidentiality, they go to prison. They're using military grade equipment to get to the bottom of who's operating the data center, who are the investors, and everything else about it, because these large loads on the grid affect the grid, and they want to know who's connecting. They want to make sure that it's a safe connection to the grid. So we lead the nation in that requirement, and they have to go through that before we can even discuss any of the incentives that they're eligible for. I think what affects probably most of the smaller communities in Kansas, though, is the improvement in cooling technology. Where before, say 10 years ago, a data center would have a million gallon a day water requirement, and 75% of that is in wastewater. And many of the smaller communities can't handle that combination. So we didn't see a lot of the data centers. Well, now the data centers that we're looking at today are committing to air-cooled data centers and closed-loop systems. So the water requirement is significantly less. I'll detail that here in a second. But the ones that we're talking to aren't talking of millions of gallons a day for their data centers. The other provision in SB 98 was that they had to deliver a water plan, a water conservation plan. So that combination of things sets the tone. It's really a list of instructions. It's a checklist, like a pilot checklist to them. When you're coming into Kansas, you're going to have to go through this SB 98 process. You're going to have to submit a water plan, and you're going to have to abide by the needs of the community. So we'll get into that. But what's happening here in Kansas, quite frankly, is we're going from 10 to 20 or 20 to 30 data centers, and it feels like a lot to us. But you'll see that in other states, it was a part of an intentional plan to build the technology base, the job base that keeps the kids here. It's all part of an intentional plan that requires some investment in deliberate activity on their part. But there's one other activity happening in the state that Paul Hughes, not Commerce, but I consider it to be a nuisance, and that's the speculative development. And these are developers that come in, try to assemble land, try to assemble power and water commitments at the local level quickly and quietly, so it increases the combined value of that is more, and then they flip that over to one of the data center operators that will be living in the community. And it's creating this impression that there's a lot more data center interest than there really is. It effectively doubles the appearance of what's happening out there because they're interested, they're asking about power, they're asking Evergy about power, they're asking the municipalities about power, they're asking about water and everything else, but so are the actual data center operators. So it creates this image that there's twice as much activity out there than there really is. Can we get our next slide, please?
Mhm. Okay.
All right, so taking a look at, what are, the question is generally around this kernel. Why are we doing this in our community? Like, what is the benefit to our community to have a data center here? And for these data centers that we're working with, the construction phase alone, just to build, prepare the lot, get all the permits in place and get a rooftop over all the equipment, takes about 2 years per facility. And what you'll find is when they're doing a larger campus, like 2 or 3 of these buildings, they'll stagger them. So when the first building's done, they begin the second one. When the second one's done, they begin building the third. So there's this 2 to really 6 year process of the construction phase. So that's hotel stays, it's restaurant visits, it's a lot of the local hospitality and other tax collections that are occurring before the facilities even become operational. Later.
It's getting kind of pushy too, so.
I think one of the other benefits for the communities is that within the cities, every city in Kansas has a tariff on energy use, particularly for large load users like this, that can be substantial. And we have some communities in the state, admittedly, they have relatively small budgets, about a $4 million budget, that a data center coming in has them entertaining the idea of reducing residential property taxes because of the additional collections that they have. So it's a conversation that needs to take place within the community, because I hear laughter, but I'm cautioning you, they're coming to you wanting to be good members of the community. And they're going to ask a question that you're not going to be ready for, because most communities in Kansas aren't. I've seen it missed too many times.
When you mentioned tariff, are you referring to the franchise fee? Is that?
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
That's the term we use.
That's what I'm referring to. Yes, thank you. So in those collections, granted, their energy bills are to the tens, if not hundreds of millions a year. When they come into the community, they're going to ask a question that I hope you're ready for it. What does the community need? And what they mean by that is, we have to hire people here, right? And they have to be proud to go to work, or that we're not going to be able to hire in your community. So we have to be good members of the community. What do you need? Do you need a ride share program? Do you need a childcare facility? Do you need a new park, a new bridge somewhere? But they want to contribute to the community as a sign as they're coming in that they're serious about being a long-term member here. These investments are at a minimum, the payback period's 30 years. They're not sparking this out of the ground and then you don't walk away from $1 billion investment. So the communities should have a list. I encourage it. A list of, when that question comes around, what does the community need? That list is ready. Because we see that a lot, that they're not ready for that question. And it's sincere. They want to know how they can help. So the tax base there can be a big boost for local communities. They also want to hire locally. So when they're operating their facilities, they're going to partner with community colleges, technical colleges, high school STEM for training to work within this facility here. And some of these are names that the kids today probably never thought that they would be able to work for without leaving home. It's Google, it's Meta, it's Oracle, it's all the big names. Every one of them is in Kansas right now looking for a suitable site. But not every community wants them, and that's a community decision. I don't live here. This is entirely within this room and whether or not this goes forward. But the the other benefit to smaller communities is that their hiring footprint doesn't create this crush in housing or a crush in traffic. They're going to hire a good sized data center is going to hire about 150 people in that $60,000 to $105,000 a year range for all sorts of trades, whether that's electricians, it's going to be HVAC, it's going to be computer technicians, you name it. It'll be security personnel. This is critical infrastructure and it needs to be protected as such. We'll go to the next. So why this reaction to data centers in Kansas? Because it is everywhere. They're well organized. It's a common theme in the markets we go to. But in many cases, they're not aware that Kansas has laws in the state that require data centers to pay for their own infrastructure, power infrastructure. So the question of what's this going to do to my power rate? Is it going to make it go up? Is it going to make it go down? The point here is that you are isolated from what's happening in the data center world between what's happening on their power side and the residential power side. And Evergy will explain to you that their biggest price pressure on rates isn't data centers, it's power poles, it's the cost of commodities like wire and everything else that goes into their systems. That's where they're seeing the greatest pressure on their pricing. The other concern we hear is that, well, if you let one of these in, there's going to be 100 of them there. I'm here to tell you, these sites are extremely difficult to find. The viable ones are very difficult to find. They don't flood in. There's not enough of them to flood in. So the only way that they flood in is if the community decides we want to be a part of this technological piece of AI infrastructure. And we want to be a part of that, but based on the tax generation and everything else that's happening. But it doesn't just happen on its own. The other thing that's generating this reaction, again, we talked about the speculative development. It's making it hard even for Evergy to know what's real in terms of demand. So they've developed an entirely new process that the data centers, to get the energy study they need, requires a $200,000 study to be conducted. And that tells you whether or not they're real. And most of the projects that we see in the state are trapped below that layer. They're interested and they're trying to arrange everything, but they're trying to avoid having to pay those fees in order to make the site genuinely viable for data center development. I think the other thing that is causing concern in the state is this need for confidentiality. This industry, at least the way we normally run projects, this industry works backwards. So we would normally see a project come to Commerce or sometimes to the governor's office and say that they're interested in coming to the state. Are they welcome? This is what the project looks like, everything else. We broadcast it to the communities. They respond with their interest or not interest, and then that's the beginning of the project. Data centers are completely the opposite. When they come into the state, their first call is to the power company. And they're going to say, where can I get this load? Whether it's 100 megawatts or 500, whatever the number is, or 50. And Evergy will point them to where these are the places where you can get that kind of load. And they'll go to those communities and they'll start their process of identifying willing landowners that are willing to sell their properties. I don't even know they're here yet when that's happening. So what lets me know that a data center is in a community is what you see before you today, is that there's interest and concern on both sides about data centers, and we're trying to fill the gap on what it really means for the community. So as we're walking through this, some communities are finding out that they don't have a master plan in place. So the data centers are going to ask, from a zoning perspective, where do you want us? Right? And where are we explicitly allowed to operate based on your zoning? And many communities don't have that zoning in place. And so it's the beginning of this conversation then of, quite frankly, it's telling a landowner what they can and can't do with their land when that process wasn't in place before. And so what do we want them to say, and how do we want to grow as a community? That requires a vision, and that comes from this room. What do we want this community to become over time? Can we get our next slide? So data centers and water use. We'll get asked a lot of questions about what is the water use on a data center. And These technologies are listed oldest to newest, top to bottom there. And the oldest, most proven technology is what they call evaporative cooling. It's a swamp cooler for a data center. They're big and they require a lot of water. And the benefits is that they're really reliable. It's a proven technology. Everybody knows how they work and how to maintain systems. Getting the technicians isn't difficult, but they consume a lot of water. And we're in this requirement for, it is stubborn, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
In this requirement for a water plan in the state, what we want to see from these data centers is that they become part of the aquifer recharge solution in Kansas. So if they have large water allocations and they're not going to use it, that's the discussion we're urging them to engage in. The other more common kind of cooling systems, and we're getting these commitments as they're coming into the state that their systems are air cooled. And that's really more sanitary water. So it's the cafeterias, it's the restrooms and that sort of thing for the data center. It's a much lower water usage per day. 12,000 gallons a day is about the equivalent of a 100-room hotel water consumption rate. What's not on here, it's kind of in the middle, and it's a technology that operates funny. It's called closed loop. You charge the system once with water and you run it for many weeks before you recharge that again. And that's kind of between air cooling and direct to chip. They don't have a daily use of water, but they do use water. And if you averaged it out, it's about 3,000 to 4,000 gallons a day. Those are newer systems, but they're prepared to go there. And the trade-off is that they're not using as much water, they're using more power. And so that's just something they work out with Evergy and what's available within the power pool. The last two on there are what I would consider to be more exotic technologies, but they're really interesting to this industry because they answer some other issues that they want to address. So directed chip is where you're circulating a cooling gel directly to the server CPU, the computing unit, to cool it. It's a really efficient system. It really doesn't use any water. Once the system has been set up, it stays as a closed loop, but it's fragile. These are systems where you don't normally want liquids in contact with your electronics, so they have to be very precise in how they operate. The same is true for immersion cool. That's the whole server blade is immersed in a cooling gel. And those systems are complicated. There's not a lot of technicians that know how to run those systems, but they're silent. And so it's another technology that the industry is considering as they're moving forward, that yes, they're fragile, but if the situation calls for it, they've got the cooling technology to address a concern. So next one, please. The other question we get is how much of this is happening in the state? I guarantee you that top number is wrong. And I'm telling you that because they come to us last. The energy companies know that number. And I would estimate that of total projects in the state is probably about 5 times that. We're seeing the ones that are clearing through and are actually becoming validated. They're more real, for lack of a better term. But what's really the point of this slide is the range, right? We have $12 million data center projects, that's tiny in this industry. That's really small, and it's probably somebody who's, I mentioned earlier about this shipping container concept, where they're expanding a small data center for a casino operation or something along those lines. But that's a really small data center. And then we have the larger ones in the state as well. It's north of $7 billion in scope for the project. That's a very large data center. They tend to look at really large parcels too. So some of them that we're looking at in the state, they're looking for 1,200 acre sites to build on. And the point there is to be a good neighbor. When we start talking about, we'll get in starting to be some environmental questions, and one of those is noise. So one of the things I would urge any community is to take a look at your noise ordinances and find out whether or not there is a numerical decibel number associated with it. We're finding some communities have different phrases. It's whether it becomes a nuisance or whether it's obnoxious, but there's no numerical value. They're buying those larger parcels and then they build in the center of it. So they want to put a buffer all the way around that. So any sort of concerns about noise or anything else about the project can be dissipated before it gets to their property line, but they're big projects. Next, please. So we get a lot of questions then, like, so what should we be doing? One of them is, and for the record, I'm not aware of any data center that's currently looking in Abilene, but I've already told you they come to me last, so take that for what it's worth. But the community should know what would a data center mean for us financially if they were to come here, right? So we can run a hypothetical case. We offer, Kansas Commerce offers for free a cost benefit analysis based on the scenarios that you establish. Communities ask us, well, should we be providing 100% property tax abatements? In my view, no. The market doesn't call for that. These sites are too hard to find. It's a much different competitive landscape than it was 10 years ago. So stay close to the energy providers. They can give you a much clearer picture than I can on the degree of interest within your community or your county. And the other is to be mindful that the Fusion Center is there to help you understand who this client is. So when they're done, they're going to know everything top to bottom about who the parties are to this. What I like about that process is that a speculator can't get through it. They're unable to answer the questions. So before any local incentives or infrastructure commitments are made or anything along those lines, I encourage you to make that contingent upon successful completion of the Intelligence Fusion Center process. Because what'll happen in some communities is they'll pledge a certain amount of water towards a project that never happens or stalls out. And now you can't reallocate that resource anywhere else because it's already pledged to the stalled project. So I would make it clear that nothing is final until that Intelligence Fusion Center process is done. And then as communities take a look at zoning, you'll want to figure out where does that fit, right? So naturally, you're not going to put residential and heavy industrial right next to each other. So how do we want to build this in a way that we can seize on these opportunities in the future without creating a bunch of community conflict? So just know that the data centers come in different sizes. Industry is heavy industry and light industry oftentimes. So just we encourage people to at least consider that as they're taking a look at their zoning and that sort of thing. So this will be my last slide for today, gentlemen. If there's anything I can answer for you, be happy to do it.
Yeah, is there, like the evaporative cooling? Obviously, probably around here, we wouldn't have 1 to 2 million gallons of water a day to provide. So surely we could put that in our zoning regulation to say we would not accept an application.
That's just it, right? So that control is at the local level. And it has the state water department's interests as well. When I see 1 million gallons a day or more for any project, whether it's a data center, an automotive manufacturer, whatever, I see a number that big. My first call is the water office to put them on alert to see if it's even doable. Because if it's not, that project's done, and I don't need to put a lot of effort into a project that was never going to get off the ground. So we watch that very closely. SB 98 has that message in there that they have to deliver a water conservation plan. I haven't seen it myself, so I'm not going to say it's never happened, but I have yet to see a 1 million gallon a day water user in Kansas that is a real project. To me, that's a speculator trying to get as much attributed to their site as possible to increase the value of it right before they flip it to somebody else. But we shouldn't be seeing 1 million gallon plus data centers in the state.
And you might not know the answer to this, but like a medium or large size data center, in your experience, what kind of employment are we looking at once they do get them built?
There's kind of a rule of thumb that's sort of close up until you get into that 250 megawatt range. That is 1 job per megawatt.
Okay. And
then you get over that 250 range, and it's really more like 1 job for every 2 megawatts that are there. But these are decent paying jobs that kids today are looking for, especially the companies that they're looking for to get that foot in the door for the technology companies that they want to work with.
I don't know, Dustin could probably speak to this better than anybody else in this room, but servers have to be maintained. They're not automatic. There's no, just letting everybody know that. We have servers at Abilene Machine 2. Someone has to maintain a server physically.
Yes.
You know, components, like you say, would get replaced. So I guess where I'm going is jobs do get created. It's not an automated facility. Someone's going to have to maintain the place if they do build one.
Right. The automated facilities are something you see in a market like Texas or Virginia where they're so dense that there may not be a person in that building, but there's one in the building next door, right? So they're jumping between a campus kind of setting. But when a server becomes unstable, it requires somebody to go in there to troubleshoot it, do their diagnostics, and decide whether or not they're replacing equipment or not.
You guys got some questions, commissioners?
I'm good, thank you. Probably one thing that needs to be looked at, not just for this, but for any project. We have treated water. We have City of Abilene has an RO plant, provides water for the city, but also for the district. It has the capacity to treat a lot more water than what's going through there. But we do not have the capacity as far as the resource of the water. And so that probably needs to be measured, or maybe get some information from the City of Abilene, because that would impact any project. I mean, not just this, but any project, as far as what our actual water supply is. Because right now we do have water restrictions that you can't water after 7 in the morning.
So there's potential there, right? Whenever you're in that scenario where the water resource is what's constraining you. You have capacity, but not the water, right? So that delta there is lost revenue to the community. So what would be helpful in that situation is somebody that is a high water user, but is willing to recycle that water. So since it's an RO system, it's a conversation at least hold. How could we or can we recirculate water within a system that's an RO system like that? What would it require? And if the juice isn't worth the squeeze, that's good information for the community to have. That it would require a certain kind of investment, right? So again, when the operators are coming in saying, what does the community need? And that answer is water. That's a good discussion to have. Like, how can you help us improve or speed up the recharging of the aquifers in the region through their network of data centers? So they can receive credit for, let's say it's hypothetical, but I've seen these scenarios where they have water rights in one part of the state that they're prepared to surrender for the effort of recharging a water table. And probably the best in the business in that is Google. So, and we have, like, as I mentioned earlier, we have every one of the hyperscalers looking in the state right now. So if there's a willingness to go down that road just to explore it, we can help with arranging those conversations. It's not a commitment, it's just a technologically, is this even possible kind of conversation. But those are the perfect kind of questions to bring to the data centers when they're saying, what does the community need? I'd hit them with that one first.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time today. Unless we had any more questions. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Just from my perspective, since we have a crowd, I will give you my opinion. There's no deal on the table, guys. This is an informational review session. I'll be open though, as a commissioner, we want to lower our taxes. We got to grow to do that. We got to expand our tax base. We can keep cutting. That is a good way, and we're going to do that. But how do we do it in a real way? You know, how do we do it by more than 5%? How do we really make a significant tax cut? We got to grow the tax base to do that. So long, I think I'm not going to speak for my fellow commissioners, but as long as I sit in this chair, that is my commitment. You guys know that. I've said it, been very clear about it. If we ever got a deal, that is my commitment. So that's why I thought it was a good idea have Paul come in and kind of give us some of the facts and background on what data centers entail and what we'd be looking at if that became a reality or if a deal ever came down the pipe. So just thought I'd be upfront about that and where I am. So thank you. Okay.
I just have the department managers give their updates, but very brief updates.
I do. Who wants to start this week? We got a crowd.
Okay.
You're on deck.
All right. Marcus Rothschild, Assistant County Administrator and Finance Director. So over the next 3 to 4 weeks, just all of the department heads, just yesterday finished up getting all of their budget sheets out to them. So we're going to be reviewing all of the operational budgets with the departments. We'll go over multiple times with everyone going through their capital, looking at all the capital projects we have coming up in the next 5 years. And we're going to continue in my initial discussion with them, let them know that we're looking to try to get another 3% out this year. That's kind of the goal right now that I've told them on our operational budgets, if it's possible. So we're going into the budget process with that mindset. We're going to try to see if we can bring that back to you guys again this year. Currently, I did receive the draft audit from our auditors, so I'm reviewing that right now. So we should have a finalized audit ready for you here soon, so we can go over the final numbers from 2025. We're also working with Enterprise Fleet Management. I've been able to work with a lot of the departments as we've seen some of these leased vehicles coming in. The process has worked very well so far, and it's been pretty smooth. It's going to require a complete update to our capital plan, since we're going to be rotating out a lot of vehicles that were on there in the past and moving those in with the fleet management vehicles. Right now, I have it on the schedule for May 7th to be the first of the actual budget meetings that will be coming and presented to the commission. So starting on May 7th and going through about the end of June, every Thursday, we will have some budgets coming to you. I've already talked with a lot of the outside organizations and got them on the schedule. So we'll start to fill those time slots with the other departments as I meet with them. Outside of that, I provided some sales tax numbers for you this morning, and right now we are trending about 4% higher than we were last year at this time. So sales taxes continue to be strong throughout the year so far. Do you have any questions for me?
For the benefit of those that are here, you might mention how those sales tax numbers, you might say lag. I mean, this isn't what happened.
It's 2 months behind.
Yeah, that's true.
So
So
it's not behind. Well, it is behind, but it's the process of figuring it.
when we actually receive them from the state of Kansas, it is 2 months, 2 months after the actual collections. So right now, since we just received our April allotment, that would have actually been what came out in February. So that's kind of how that works. So we have the December sales, we'll see that in February and for that. So far through this year, we're still up at 4%, but technically you're correct. Some of those collections would have actually been in the prior year. That's just as they reported the report months later.
By the time the retailer turns the money in, if after the month is through, then it also has to be processed and looked at. And so it's just the amount of time they're holding the money, you might say, before they actually release it to the counties.
Anything else?
Thank you, Marcus. Good morning.
Leah Hearn, County Treasurer. In our office, the second half taxes are coming up they're due May the 10th, but it falls on a Sunday, so we're going to do May 11th. We do accept postmarks on those, and we have our drop box out front. They can pay online. If they need a pay receipt mailed back to them, they have to check the little box so that we know which ones to send back. Motor vehicles been busy as always, just lots of titles on vehicles and so forth. Our tax foreclosure sale, we're moving forward on that. So those are any properties that are delinquent 20 and 21. We still have about 54 properties. The attorney that we have hired this year to do this. They do it a little different process. So right now, if somebody comes in to redeem, there is a $400 attorney fee to pay them. So it's not coming out of the county. It's the people that have the delinquent taxes. And then the $160 for parcel fees. That's the title work that the county has already, or they have paid for, that the county used to pay for. So a lot of these fees are going back on the taxpayer. So that's good because the county doesn't put in those bills. And that is about it in our office. Always a adventurous day. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. I won't come up at once.
Marcia Schneider, HR Director. Every year we have to do a K-work audit that I have to get the information turned into them the first week of February. But I just got an email back saying that it's completed and that we are receiving a refund of $16,603. And that's from our payroll estimate that I did for 2025. And just so you know that the process is, I have to do a payroll estimate for 27, and that will be due typically mid-June to them. And that's what they base our premium off of. We're still working with the Champ Plan people to get that underway. We're reviewing the plan document. And so we are shooting for starting the plan on June 1st, which means we'll do open enrollment mid-May sometime. So more information will be coming about that. Next week at our Safety and Wellness meeting, our BKD representatives, Emily and Courtney, are going to be here and present to the group. They're going to talk about the big picture of health insurance, kind of review how the renewal process goes so we can educate our group there. Also, I will be working on and continuing to work on the personnel budget, working with Marcus to get that going for 27. And Wolfson, our employment law attorney, they do some webinars in April. And so on the last 4 Thursdays in the month. And so those start at 11:30. So if anyone wants to come and listen to some employment law, you're welcome to join us in the admin room from 11:30 to 1:30 today. Okay. And open positions, we still have open positions in dispatch. We have a couple of positions in the jail. The appraiser's office has one. We have one in the health department, but they're conducting interviews today and tomorrow. And so right now we're sitting at 10 open positions. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
Good morning, John Holmgren, Health and EMS.
Good morning.
Try to be brief with this. Like Marcia said, we do have one opening currently in the health department for the WIT clerk. We're interviewing, got one interview today and one interview tomorrow. Decent applicants on paper. Hopefully we'll be able to get that position filled. We did submit our grant application to the state for our various grants that we get from the state. Not heard yet back on them, but I'm sure we will be receiving that pretty quick, so we'll know what that amount is going to be. The community baby shower is May 7th. I think I brought that up before. We do have 20 vendors signed up for it, and we are still currently, if you have someone that's interested in attending, they go online and register online. We prefer that. That way we kind of have a number of how many to buy food and stuff for and to prepare. However, if you don't get that done, you can still just show up at the door and we'll let you in. So that's again coming up May 7th. EMS wise, we did have 3 openings. We filled 2 positions. We still are accepting applications and doing interviews for the other position. I think that we're going to be able to get that filled in a short amount of time. So other than getting those people up and going and prepared to be on their own, that should happen in the next month or so. So we did have our renewal for our application for ambulance licenses and service license that it comes out or available to do that every the first of April of each year, and it's closed at the end of April. We got ours submitted early on, and we've got all of our new certifications back for all of that from the state, so we're good to go there. MIH continues to go well. We maintained 8 to 10 people all the time. We've graduated quite a few. We've done over 100 visits to personnel, so that continues to go very well. And we'll have more information about that at the end of the month. I'll give my budget report. So that's what I got.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thanks.
I'm Billy Hemme. I'm the Dickinson County Fleet Manager. I'm here for Martin. He had to go to the funeral today for the Pub Works update. Not just me, we're spraying Holland. We've already sprayed Holland, Banner, and Hope Townships. We're currently spraying Lyon Township. That'll be the last 4 on the south end, and then we'll move up. We'll be here the 23rd to talk about a trash update at the landfill. And then the 500 Avenue Bridge, the concrete's poured. They're done with the dirt work, a little bit of asphalt left, and then it should be open the mid-May. And then the 1100 Bridge, they're just getting started today. They just finally showed up today to get on it. The dirt work's all done, so the actual bridge crew is going to start driving piling. The bridge crew, our bridge crew's doing a 20-foot bridge at 3100 Avenue. Should be done in the next couple of weeks. We're going to start patching some spots next week. And then in the shop, we're just getting everything finalized, ready to go for asphalt season. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Davis from the Sheriff. Staffing, we're down 2 in the jail. We were down 3, we've got 1 hired. We're just waiting on them to start. We're still down 2 more. We're on the roadside. We're full staff. We've got 1 at the academy. He's got about another month at the academy. And then once he gets out of the academy, he'll have another 14 weeks field training with our guys, and then he'll be out on his own. So we're getting close to being completely full staffed on the road. As far as inmates in the jail right now, we've got 22 inmates in-house, 21 in-house, 1 at Larned, 19 male, 3 female. We're housing 5 for outside jurisdictions right now. I'm working on budget. I just started crunching some numbers this morning. I'll work with my undersheriff on that pretty close. We'll get a hold of Marcus. I think they're going to go fairly smooth there. We're working on the 3% cut that Marcus said. We're going to see if we can get there with our agency. Accreditation, our agency's working on getting accredited through Kansas Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. On May 11th and 12th, we have our on-site visit, basically an inspection. Once that's done, we'll know where we need to go as far as accreditation, but hopefully by June, we'll be fully accredited by the state of Kansas or shortly thereafter. We're replacing 2 fingerprint machines for our agency, electronic fingerprint machines, 1 in the jail and 1 to do civil fingerprints for licensing like nursing or teaching. We'll have that one up front where we don't have to take them back into the jail to do the fingerprinting anymore. Hopefully we'll be able to take that out of our concealed carry fund, so that shouldn't cost the taxpayers any money. We've got that fund built up. So enterprise fleet management, we're swapping out a lot of cars. It's going really well. Some of the cars were overdue. One of the cars we were just bringing back from getting it ripped. One of the skid plates fell off, and it was a whole ordeal on the way back from Andover yesterday. This week we conducted defensive tactics training for our agency. Abilene Police Department participated with us. We do that twice a year, kind of keep our guys up to date on defensive tactics. And that's all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, guys.
Tim Hamilton, Planning and Zoning. Have a busy next couple of months at the Planning Commission. We have a loaded agenda for next week. We've got 3 cases and 1 amendment to our zoning regs to look at. And then next month, we've got an equivalent number of cases. So you're you all will be seeing these coming in front of you probably, within the next couple of months or so. I have a planning and zoning conference, a county planning and zoning officials conference in Topeka on the 22nd and 23rd. And I will be giving a presentation there on that. I've been asked to kind of give a presentation on processes of moving different types of uses. So I will be presenting that then. And we have a total of, so far to date, 25 building permits. 3 of those are, I believe, single-family homes. I expect that number to go up in the next few weeks or so. Usually springtime is when people start pulling permits for new homes. And that's what it was last year at this time. We had, all of a sudden there was an influx of new homes going in. So with that though, I don't have anything else. If you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning.
Good morning. So Burke County Appraiser, I don't have a lot for you since I just met with you last week. Personal property value notices will be mailed on or before May 1st. Taxpayers have 15 days from the date of mailing to appeal those values. We have completed the real estate informal hearings. Again, we just had the 57 hearings. I submitted our index study to the ratio division at PBD for consideration of a trend adjustment in our sales ratio. We do have the one position in our office open. I do have 2 applicants scheduled for interviews next week. And legislative update. So far, there's been limited movement on the appraisal evaluation process so far. Last week, I mentioned the Senate Bill 329 pertaining to VOTA appeals. This week, the House Bill 2644 passed with nearly unanimous support and was signed by the governor. That bill limits increases to 5% per year for 5 years on properties with value change resulting from a hearing. No constitutional amendments related to valuation have come close to passing, but legislation is reconvening for 2 days beginning today to wrap up the remaining items. That's what I know so far. Any questions?
So are you saying that we're capped at a 5% is valuation can increase then?
So it's kind of interesting because typically, I think in our years, we've had 1 year that the values increased over a 5%. Typically, they're around a 3 to 5%. So I don't think that's going to affect us much. And that cap is also just on values that have had hearings. So it's still allowing, if something is indicated, to raise that value the following year, but just not over a 5% for about over 5 years each year.
So if your valuation went up 7%, is that something you could request?
If they have a hearing, I mean, yes, this is pertaining basically just to hearings or appealed values.
Okay.
And so it's kind of nice. It's not just holding us down to the value each year for 5 years. It's allowing us to increase it up to a 5% each year after a hearing. So. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I don't see as you have any other managers here unless you want to, I mean, Dustin just wanted me to pass on that they're working through infrastructure replacement. He's doing a detailed assessment of all that as we're working on budget and then the policy handbook for IT. So that's going to be the biggest things that they're working on.
Council, anything? Jennifer? Okay.
Eric Martin, County Councilor, all is well in the legal world. I don't have anything substantive to report, as you know, on their agenda. The applicant on the CU has withdrawn and is asking the commission to revoke that, which, as I understand it, essentially renders that ongoing lawsuit of the wind farm moot because it is no longer being pursued. So while I'm not handling that, I think you'll see that on your agenda coming up at the regular business meeting, and that will render that lawsuit moot and the appeal as well. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Okay.
Yeah, you got solid waste review.
Martin's not here.
Well, Bill
Really gonna get-
are
okay.
going to do it, so.
Okay.
So I just thought he'd stand up there and talk because he does so well, you know.
Yeah, we're on time.
I'm Sarah Sommerg. I am with Environmental Services. Think you guys had a chance to review the plan. Do you have any questions for me or?
Really, do you want to kind of high level go over the plan?
Just business as usual. Take trash to the transfer station. The plan is just a really fancy way of saying that that's what we do out there. That there's no changes planned for the near future. This kind of highlights, who our service providers are. Who picks up trash here, where we.
Nothing's going to change for the taxpayer.
Nope.
Nothing's going to change in terms of dropping your solid waste off, the batteries or tires or steel or so on and so forth.
Business as usual. Everything's staying the same. We already had our price increase that was approved by you guys back in January, I believe. So we're.
That was just to catch up with fees, with what we pay in fees. That's simply what that was.
We're set until at least the next review period, so.
And this is reviewed by 5 members of the,
We have 5 right now.
5 members of the county, since they handle it, so.
I may not have read through the whole thing. It is quite a document.
It
It
is
is
quite a
not quite the
document.
page turning read.
It's
You
not.
guys feel welcome to read it. I didn't see anything. Commissioners, is there?
I do have something on solid waste that's concerned. You're able to take solid waste, okay?
Yes.
Okay, we've had a situation in our county, and I think you may be aware of it, some may be, may not be. We had a horrible accident here just recently, and it was an individual that delivers the trash to your facility.
Yes.
He had a head-on collision,
Yes.
school bus.
Yes.
Part of that was attributed to not being able to take the shorter route to get around. I got a phone call from him. He couldn't speak. He's still in bed, but he does want to address the council on that 1100 Union Bridge, and I'm sorry to bring it up. I know there's so many people that live there, but there's more involved with that bridge than just the 5 people or 7 people that live there. This is an incident of that.
Okay.
So just aware that the delivery in our particular area is disrupted completely because this guy's hurt, the owner's hurt, he can't get help, the help doesn't know where to go, and that's the trash is not being picked up.
Okay.
So just a heads up.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Bill, you got anything to add?
When did that happen?
Just recently.
Really?
Just started on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's an alternate route, but it takes longer.
And it's very dangerous. It's very windy. It's farmed up
The
to the
longer
road.
route,
The longer route.
takes longer.
Yeah, obviously takes
So
longer.
that's the only choice. they have, is
Unsafe,
that road.
unsafe. But the bridge on that particular shortcut route is also Old Bridge.
That's what I'm trying to find
Right.
out was, is it a shortcut or is it a route that he has to take?
A route he has to take. It's
Okay.
only-
No, I'm just asking
Yeah.
clarification. I'm not.
Yeah, no, this is, I think we
It'd be
looked
good
at
to
that.
find out more about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, have him reach out to me if you would,
and talk.
or somebody that could,
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
that's all I have.
Any other questions?
I don't.
You didn't expect that, did you?
No, it's very for a road
It's kind of
question.
separate.
It's not quite my department, but
It's a separate
No,
issue.
but you do take it. That's.
yes, I will make a note
And we'll make sure Martin's aware of
and,
this.
yeah, we'll discuss it with Martin.
Yeah,
So this will be on your agenda for next week for approval.
Okay. You're good. Thank you. Short and sweet.
So next, unless you want to take a breather for a minute and then start with the 250 grants.
Roll into it. You guys ready?
yeah.
Let's get into the grants.
Do you want me to bring them up or do you want to talk about the recommendation?
I really don't know how to go about this.
Well, I think just give it a year and then just say what the recommendations are and and then the process, and we had a group look at it.
Right, so you received 20 applications for a wide variety of events, festivals, memorials, murals, things like that. So the committee reviewed it, and what we came away with was the recommendation is that we wanted to try to split it up as equally as we could, or as close as we could across all 3 of the commission districts, but more importantly, across the communities, and applying grants to each of those to assist with a community something or other event or mural or what. We also wanted to make sure that there was plenty of time to award the grants before the event took place, because part of the guidelines was to acknowledge that the Dickinson County Commissioners was the one that were providing the funding for this, and make sure that the recognition gave theirs. So you had allocated $30,000 for the grant program. So what, out of the 20, there are 11, I believe, 13 actually, sorry, that will be recognized. So do you want me to go ahead and read them off, or do you want to do that?
I can do it. So, go ahead.
Well,
So we received
So we have a group of-
$200,432 worth of grant, or that for total estimated cost for a project, but $67,050 for grant requests. So
we had a group of 3 review.
it actually ended up being Elizabeth Weiss, Julie Roller Weeks, and myself. Natalie Maturo and Jackie Hines were also part of it, but they were not, they weighed in electronically when we had our discussion and our review, so.
The only question I had is that we had set the amount at 3,500 for the max, and
If it's a community event, it could have been 15,000. But you can,
we never told anyone they could apply for 15,000. They could do a $15,000 project, but I thought what we said is that it could be 3,500 was the
let me find
maximum amount, and then there was another level of.
let me find my grant guidelines.
So that was my only question, is that there was one that received 4,000, or that's a recommendation, and I think that should be pared back to the 3,500.
That's entirely up to you.
I mean, that's just my thought on it, and that $500, whether you give 250 to one other group, 2 groups, or 500 to one group.
And I thought I had my guideline thing in here. Part of that was just because of the size of the community and the project that they were doing. So the decision was to increase it slightly because of the project that came before them. So
What size area are they covering? Chicago County, what's the area they cover?
So we tried to hit every single community that made a request and split it up between the 3 commission districts. So Abilene's receiving some, Chapman, Solomon, Talmadge, Hope, Navarre, Woodbine, Harrington.
You got Tri-County on there too, which.
Harrington is,
Harrington.
right.
Yeah, okay, that's all okay.
I looked at that yesterday. I felt like we did a pretty good job of trying to spread it out, make sure everybody got some grant money to do their events.
And the 7 that's not, and they didn't apply or anything?
They did apply, but
Okay,
they just were not selected.
selected, okay.
So, I'm okay with going down to 35. I do believe we did make that rule. So we need to follow our own rules. So 3,500, in my opinion, would be the Tri-County, go down to 3,500.
Mhm.
And then it'd be kind of up to us if you guys want to give that to somebody else, or if you want to maybe, I was looking at the Hope Center, it was a smaller project. Maybe we could give it.
That is for micro. So the micro grants were, yep, and then community projects to 15, but I think that's what 15 to 35, yep.
Oh, so that's why.
Yep.
Okay, so they would be applicable.
Yep.
15 to 35.
So you'll need to reduce the 4.
1,500 to 35.
Right.
So 35 was the max.
Max, yep.
Okay, perfect.
So either we could bring in another group of that 500, or, for example, Talmadge had asked for 3,000 and we gave them 1,000. We could give them 1,250. Maybe like the Eisenhower Foundation, or there were a couple that the VFW dinner. There were a couple that, well, of course they only asked for 3,000.
Mhm.
Maybe the Eisenhower, I'd be up to you, Ron. What do you think? Talmadge makes sense to me. To add 250 to it, and then maybe we add 250 to the foundation. There's a $40,000 project. We're only going to give them 2,000. That's good. You'd be okay with that?
Yep.
So Eisenhower is gonna be 2250,
There you go.
and Talmadge is 1250. And reduce Tri-County to 3500. Okay. Okay, so how would you like to proceed with the notification and you'll have to add this to your agenda if you're gonna make a recommendation next, you know that.
You guys comfortable having it to agenda today?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and add it to agenda.
Okay.
And then we'll pass it. If you guys want to send out the notification.
You want to go ahead and read what the amounts are?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Or I mean, we could wait till the meeting, but.
No, let's do it now. That's a good idea. So VFW D-Day dinner, coming in, we're gonna award a $3,000 grant to them. Sealy 250 celebration, $1,500. Old Abilene Town Chisholm Trail, $2,500. Eisenhower Foundation D-Day, $2,250. Chapman Labor Day, $1,500. Chapman Middle School Veterans, $1,500. Solomon Festival, $2,000. Wow. Talmadge 250th anniversary, $1,250. Solomon Veterans Memorial for $3,500. Hope Festival for $3,500. Navarre Flagpole Project for $1,500. Tri-County Fair for $3,500. And Woodbine Lit Flagpole for another $2,500. A totaling of $30,000. The entire grant program will be paid out, and we'll send notifications once we pass it today.
Right. Okay. Because the deadline was actually the 15th, so.
Perfect. We're on time. Okay. There's nothing else there.
And I did appreciate the number of people that participated and turned in applications, because I mean, the whole thing is to celebrate the 250th and have it be countywide and have some people be creative and come up with some projects and maybe stoke the enthusiasm of each group a little bit. So I think we've accomplished a lot of that.
If there's nothing else, any further discussion for today, we'll go ahead and recess until 11 a.m. in the regular business meeting. We'll conclude that time. Thank you, guys.
If anyone didn't sign in, could you please sign in before you leave? Thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, well,
I haven't heard thunder for a long time.
I hadn't.
Working up.
So, you know what we had his accident on 1000 Avenue was he's making the turn to go around,
I can tell you,
because he couldn't even.
I couldn't have a good report. I couldn't have it. They can't disclose a lot of information to me.
Well, an accident.
We just need to know
Yeah, you can, but I mean.
where exactly.
It was the one that they tore out, right? Not the construction. The one that construction.
What I'm saying is, he wanted to evaluate to me about the needs that road. It's affecting a lot of things, not just living there.
Right,
Because fell asleep.
right. And
He gets up at 4 a.m. and I get to hear this stuff from our area.
I know.
I was just
I hate to
making,
bring up.
I was just making sure it was that one and not the one they just started construction on. So
No. We're on Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that got burnt.
I know.
Yeah. So you gotta mention it.
And another one. The budget. Suggested that you could take the money from your rehabilitation board. And they would get.
Right.
Oh, but I gotta listen to this.
I know.
If you pass they'll get the grant for you.
Yep.
So please, if you hear it, Rob, I don't want to risk it. But I have listened to that. Remember of you. It must be you.
Yes, it is, yes. Yeah.
But I thought you could ask the voice.
Yes.
2023. And 209 is up there. State highways.
I know.
But I hear it.
Yes.
They don't change.
State highway, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but could we? You know, you have, not gonna have like, you're driving on 30 mile an hour, 35. That's happening. Can the county put it on that? But it's on the state highway.
We can't put it on a state highway. We're not allowed.
But I'm sure
Okay, I'm gonna visit with Aaron for a second. Aaron, do you mind?
And I need to talk to
Can I
her.
speak? And I thought that was on the agenda.
It is, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was looking at,
Yep.
okay.
And Janelle says she's gonna you're gonna brief us on this CUP.
The CEP, yeah.
But where I'm concerned is, just remember
Well, it's the county. It's the county.
Project I want done and
Yeah, just a few. No, I'll tell you what it is.
I know, it doesn't matter now. I know. Sorry, I don't know that it was gonna
I'll feed that in earlier. I'll open it up and guess each one. Oh, I think. Regardless. Okay.
Okay.
Starts to go.
Yeah, I think I have everything.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're subject of those.
Call this meeting to order. If we'd all rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Let's go over here.
Coming down to the approval of the agenda, got quite a bit of stuff, so one addition today. With a proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month presented by Jacqueline Lawrence from DVAC. We have received public comments on the CDBG project. That's a public hearing, sorry. Is that what that is?
Just if we have had any, yes. Public hearing, yeah.
Okay. Resolution 040926, it's for the Board of County Commissioner of Dickinson County to terminate CUP 24-06 Hope Ridge Wind Project on the request of Enel Green Power. Consideration of structural steel bids and decking and sheeting for 566 3100 Avenue. Consideration of quotes to replace doors on the motor grader shed located at 1077 3400 Avenue. Consideration of appointment of Amanda Koperich, I hope I didn't murder that, Lincoln Township Treasurer. And approve the 250th celebration grant recipients. Do I hear?
Does anyone know how to pronounce that name so we have it right?
Koperich?
Koerperic.
I would butcher just like you.
Well, I'm sorry if what she said.
I said close. Yeah.
Close, okay.
Well, I think that's.
I'll give it my best effort. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda today?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Consent agenda minutes are provided for the April 2nd meeting in your packets, Commissioners. Payroll is $428,383.28 and abated tax of $35.58. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Moving down to petitions and proclamations. If Jacqueline Lawrence, you want to come on up and,
Wait,
sorry.
your commission report?
Oh, I do this every week. That's
okay.
I'm sorry. Please sit back down. My apologies. Either I skip the officers or I skip the commissioners, one or the other. I'm sorry. Ron, do you want to kick us off?
Just real quick, thankful we're getting some moisture. That's all I have.
Me too. Lynn?
I do not have anything today.
I don't have much at all today either. I'm glad for the rain as well. Well, we could have skipped it anyway, guys.
Stayed up there.
Yeah, I see, I already knew that. That's my fault. Come back up if you would, Jacqueline. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I apologize for walking in a little bit behind. Although y'all are thankful for the weather, I had to drive here from Saline County and me and my car were battling weather on the way here. So apologies for that. My name is Jacqueline. I'm the sexual assault advocate over at DVAC. I've been working there for about 3 years. I don't think I've met you guys, so that's why I'm introducing myself. And then I'm here to read the proclamation for sexual assault awareness today. So whereas April is recognized nationwide as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, dedicated to increasing public awareness about sexual violence, supporting survivors, and promoting prevention efforts. And whereas sexual assault is a serious and widespread issue affecting individuals of all races, all backgrounds, and all identities, often occurring alongside with domestic violence and other forms of abuse. And whereas in Kansas, 977 incidents of sexual assault were reported in 2024, with one rape reported every 8 hours, 57 minutes, and 58 seconds, and law enforcement making one arrest for rape approximately every 2 days, 19 hours, 23 minutes, and 31 seconds. And whereas DVAC provides vital advocacy and support services to survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence through the region. And whereas from January through December of 2025, DVAC served 132 survivors of domestic violence across 19 counties who also experienced sexual violence in their relationships, including but not limited to 96 survivors from Sling County and 4 survivors from out of state, with 55 survivors receiving safe shelter services within those numbers. Whereas DVAC also supported 89 survivors whose primarily victimization was sexual assault across 12 counties, including but not limited to 63 survivors from Sling County and 2 survivors from out of state, with 21 survivors also provided safe shelter. And whereas these numbers do not just serve as a statistic, but represents individuals whose lives have been impacted by violence, who have shown resiliency, strength, and courage in their healing journeys. And whereas communities play a vital role in preventing sexual violence by fostering education, awareness, and a culture of respect while ensuring survivors have access to trauma-informed care and support. Now, therefore, DVAC hereby proclaims April 2026 is recognized as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Be it further proclaimed that all residents are encouraged to support survivors, promote prevention efforts, and work collectively to end sexual violence in the community.
Thank you. Any questions for Jacqueline?
I move that we adopt this sexual assault awareness month for our county, April 2026.
So moved, seconded. Thank you. Appreciate what you do for these victims. I know it can't be an easy job, so thank you for doing it. Got a motion, got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. April's in. Thank you.
How many work in DVAC? Because you cover more than just Dickinson County and Sling County, where you're from, but is there staffing or volunteers? How many
Yeah,
do you
so
have for this?
in our Salina business office, which covers Dickinson County as well as Ellsworth County, right now we have about 36 staff members at that business office. I don't remember how many volunteers we have. A rough estimate on top of my head is probably 25, but that's ever growing and changing. And I'm also not the volunteer coordinator, so I don't oversee that stuff. We also have a bargain basket in there, and so there's staff there that works. It's like a thrift store attached to our business office, and that money goes back to survivors. And then in our Concordia office, which covers all the northern counties, which you can find on the Kansas Coalition to End Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, we have 2 staff members that work in that office, and they provide the rest of the service up there to make sure we hit all those counties as well.
How are you funded?
We are funded through state and federal funding and grants and private grants.
And donations, I guess, too.
Yes, that too. Thank you for catching me on that. Yes. Any other questions?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Can I get a picture with you?
Absolutely. Come on up.
Before I forget it, my boss is like, you can get a picture.
We stand.
Because you run it, and here's a copy for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, you can come back here.
I guess.
Yeah. Get the logo.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
Okay, ready? I'll take a couple just to be safe.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. I'll come and get you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for coming in. No, that's yours.
We should have.
Thank you guys.
You should have been in the picture. Okay. Moving down to a brief public comment section of County Administrator Janelle Dockman for the rules, please.
For the Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4317 and 75-4318A, as the elected board, the county commission is not allowed to meet or make any decisions without posting the meeting. They are only allowed to act on items on the agenda which they set. During the regular meeting, the county commission may allow for public comments on items not listed on the approved agenda. It is at the discretion of the county commission if they allow comments on agenda items. If you wish to provide comments, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address. If you are online, raise your hand and we will unmute you. Please state your name and address. Each person may speak for 3 minutes. The allotted time will start after the speaker has given his or her name and address. Public comments should be addressed to the county commission only and not to the speaker or the audience. Only the county commission will be permitted to ask the speaker questions. The public comment period is not a back and forth discussion with the county commission. You should make your views and input known to them, but it is not a time to ask them questions. You should not expect them to respond to your comments. Comments may express support or agreement with the previous speakers, but in the interest of time, please do not repeat the same information. You may state something to the effect of your name and address and you agree with the previous speaker. It is important to maintain a respectful, non-threatening atmosphere for anyone who would like to speak. Please do not engage in such actions as cheering, booing, clapping, insults, threats, etc.
Thank you. Any public comments today? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Mandy DeGonder. I live at 2632 Main Road. I'm coming today because I have some concerns about the speed that is on my road. It's a 55 mile per hour speed limit. However, people who commonly are getting off the interstate to probably stop at Waltz to get gas are oftentimes not stopping at the stop signs. It's a roll stop. Just last night, while I'm here today, I was headed to church, southbound, a car coming off westbound turns, a truck had to lock up, he almost slid into me because the car didn't stop. Same thing happened to me on my way home. Car rolls off interstate, I had to slam on my brakes, almost ended up in a ditch. So twice in just an hour and a half. I have teenage drivers. It's been a concern of mine for a long time. I also know that the sheriff's department can't sit out there and just patrol that road. And I think they do a great job of being out there. So with my concern, I would like to bring a solution because I know that that's always helpful. I would just like to ask that we consider slowing the speed limit down, maybe a quarter mile south, a quarter mile north to 40 or whatever, just to slow the traffic down that is going north and south. That way the reaction time for somebody who is not making a stop at the stop sign, it just gives us, I mean, we already naturally do it as a family because we've lived out there for so long, but I would rather see us slow down a little bit. And I don't know how to stop the people from rolling through a stop sign. I've been thinking about this all evening, and so I don't really have a solution for that, but just to consider, just a thought, and it may not work, but other than us having to scrape a teenager off the road, I'd really like to just see something happen because it's scary.
I wish Martin was here.
I will take it to him and see.
Yeah.
There's quite a few steps that would be involved in it, but I'll let him know definitely.
So Janelle, this is the situation. You just brought up Mink Road. I have 43 and 209. That's 3 places. These are the 43 and 209 are state highways. And I realize we don't have jurisdiction on some of those. I don't know. We don't have jurisdiction on this one either, do we?
Yes, that's all.
That is yours. But it's becoming a serious problem and folks are coming in telling us, look out, we've got problems. What do we do as a county to try to fix this? And I realize our jurisdiction.
I think we educate, tell people they need to obey the traffic laws. I think people are very easily distracted. Unfortunately, they're on their phones, they're talking or whatever the case is, and they're not paying attention is some of it, unfortunately. So.
And being a resident in the area and stopping at the gas station myself, a lot of times it's not locals, it's out of towners that are traveling through. They see a gas station, they stop. You do have to pull up a little ways to see past the big concrete pillar, but you can still stop. I mean, I do it every single day. I come home from work, so it is doable. I'm just.
Is that stop sign ours?
It's coming off the off ramp. It's a state. No, it'd be the states.
I was gonna say, can we put a flashing stop sign? Those
That'd be up to the
those
state.
do work.
I mean, I can stand out there and.
That would be.
It might be less safe.
I'm also going to.
Fortunately, there are more aggressive drivers out there or ones that seem to have a disregard for some of the norms of speed limits. But there may be limitations on what type of signage we can do or where, if there is something that, whether it's speed limit or reduced speed or, something to kind of alert people that it's a.
I let the sheriff's deputy know too, and I know that he passed it on. But again, I recognize that they are just a small group of people that have a huge county to, to look over. So it's not like they can just sit on Meek Road all day long.
Right, because they have to be caught in the act, or anything could happen.
Yeah.
They can maybe more frequently go to an area at times. I mean, that's more of the call to sheriff.
Irregardless, I don't know how, this is a Martin question, but at least I'd be open to changing the speed limit. I know that 40 is pretty standard off the off ramp. Like Manhattan, for example, is a 40 mile until you get to that 55 and then you get to 70.
That's state.
Yeah, true.
I was thinking like on my road, like, maybe a quarter mile to the south and a quarter mile to the north, having us who are traveling north and south slow down too, just so that the reaction time is
That's what I'm
there.
getting at. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't stop people from rolling.
I'll discuss it with our public works director and see what we can do and bring it back to the county commission as well, so they're aware.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Try that happen to you.
Yeah. me too.
Thanks for coming in though.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I
I
didn't
know
want to
she
shut
said
you
she
down
took
there.
off work.
I was just going to suggest,
So we need you to come and say who you are and stuff, so we have a official.
Deborah Dill Nelson, county president, I live in the country. Perhaps you could actually pass some of the expense to the state and have them post a sign on that off ramp saying caution, cross traffic does not stop. And because I've seen that down somewhere around Peabody or someplace that it forces the burden to be more on the state for expense and for the driver who's exiting that. And then see if the state can put a flashing stop sign.
The state came to us last year and wanted us to take the approaches,
That's still a topic of discussion.
which we cannot afford to do. So I think, I'm not trying to pass the buck, but the state is, it's more of a one-way conversation. I'm just gonna be honest with you. We have a little bit of say, but
Yeah,
I mean,
trying to get their attention as they're rolling down that ramp might be more effective than trying to slow people north and south and have them.
best way to do that is write our senator and representative. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's the best way to get that out there, but I agree with you and I'll bring it up, but I make any promises for you.
County funds not be used to put it
Yeah.
out there.
Well, we'll talk to Martin. Like I said, at the minimum, maybe we can slow the speed down on the coming in there. That might at least at minimum help a little bit. So
Yeah, can you put speed bumps, rumble strips on a ramp exit?
State highway.
state approach, it's their road, their approach, the whole thing. So it gets complicated.
Well, it is true that there's an area with a lot more traffic coming in now.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
We have another comment, I think,
Yep.
from someone.
Come on up.
I'm Kay Hoffman. I live at 1363 1100 Avenue, Hope, Kansas. And I'm here today to thank you in advance for terminating the approval of CUP 2406. I believe that as a county commissioner, you will agree that the health, safety, and general welfare of this county is paramount. I believe there are still two primary issues yet to be addressed regarding wind energy. Number one, the existing regulations for wind energy in Dickinson County are outdated. I'm sure you've heard that in 2009, when these regulations were adopted here, the average tip height of the turbine was 350 feet. Today, the average tip height of a new turbine exceeds 650 feet, with some over 800 feet. Not only are these towers taller, but the blades are twice as long. The spinning of the blades is the root cause of the sound and infrasound nuisances issues. The Dickinson County Planning Commission wanted to study the regulations further in the fall of 2024. A 3-year moratorium would allow them to do so. Number two, the approval of CUP 2406 included unleased and non-participating land.
In fact, the county didn't even require the applicant to disclose the identity of the leased land in their application. This in turn had the cascading effect when the protest petition was counted. I believe that we can all agree that a zoning application should be clear, accurate, and disclose all land that is involved, regardless of the size or scope of the project. To be clear, we are not asking for a ban today. We are asking for a moratorium. We would like the Planning Commission to have time to study what appropriate setbacks should be for our unique county and to compare our aged 2009 regulations to what modern regulations should be. We also want to ensure that all zoning applications are transparent, disclose all participants, and show the actual plans for a project, not just a dream. Placing a 3-year moratorium on wind energy to allow the Planning Commission to further study this industry and to allow the public to have input into the regulations that preserve the quality of life in Dickinson County is critical to build trust with the constituents that you serve. Thank you.
Good morning. Debbie Ponton, Manchester, 406 Glen Street, Manchester. I'm here today as a concerned citizen to respectfully urge you to oppose any pursuit of the data center project in Dickinson County, whether small or large, especially if it involves tax abatements or incentives. I oppose this for several reasons. One concern is the potential for a tax abatement. Property owners in Dickinson County are already carrying a heavy burden. Even with the recent county mill levy reduction, thank you very much, many families continue to feel the pressure of rising valuations and overall costs. Giving a tax break to a data center shifts even more of the load onto local citizens who are already struggling. Please do not offer tax breaks to any kind to entice businesses unless the same relief is extended to the residents of Dickinson County. If companies want to locate here, they should pay their full share of taxes. Second, the electricity demand is a serious concern for our area. A small data center can draw 1 to 5 megawatts continuously, enough to power hundreds or thousands of homes around the clock. A large one can pull 75 megawatts or more. Our grid is already facing significant statewide load growth. Adding this constant industrial demand requires expensive upgrades to lines and substations. Even with the new state rules designed to protect residential ratepayers, history shows these infrastructure costs can eventually contribute to higher electricity prices for everyone. Third, most profits flow out of the state to out-of-state companies, while the jobs created are usually few and highly specialized, often just a small on-site team of technicians with many tasks handled remotely. This will not bring enough local economic benefit to offset the problems a data center will bring to our county. I ask you today, please do not move forward with any data center proposal, tax incentives, or zoning changes without a full independent impact study on our grid, taxes, water resources, and quality of life. Thank you for your time and the work that you do.
Thank you. Any other public comments for today? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment period. We're going to open it back up, but in specific, receive public comments for CDBG project on Rural Renters LLC, 109, 111, and 113 Northwest 3rd. Do we have any public comments concerning that?
I think it was open until.
Do I need to open a hearing, or is this just a public comment?
It's just to show if we had received any public comments from the time that it took place.
We have not.
We have not received any, so.
For no public comments. Okay. With that, I'll go ahead and close that as well. We'll go ahead and move down to reports from county officers. The County Administrator, Janelle Dockendorf, will give a report, please.
Commissioners, you did hear from the department managers this morning, so I don't have a lot to go over. You know, as Marcus noted, he's working with the elected officials and managers on the 2027 budget. And per your guidance, try to find reductions of 3%. The IT is attending a cybersecurity summit today. Otherwise, Dustin would have been here and engaging us with a long technical things. So the Public Works Department, as Billy had noted, they are spraying weeds across the county. Of course, we can't do that today because of the rain, which is good. And they are hiring summer help. Just as a reminder, they have to be 18 years of age. And we will put them through some training, which will be good. The EMS department has filled one of their open positions, and the appraiser is interviewing for their open position. But we did have 10 open positions right now, including 2 in EMS, 1 in the appraiser, and several in dispatch and in the jail. So please go to our website and take a look and fill out an application. So do you have any questions for me?
I do not. Commissioners?
I do. I have a beef with you. Take a break once in a while.
Well,
Easter is a time to celebrate. You're working all the time. Slow it down. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Further, County Councilor Aaron Martin?
I do not have anything to report, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Notices of communication, County Clerk Jennifer Dayton.
I just wanted to mention that we are still doing homestead claims. If anybody's interested in that, it will end on April 15th. You can give us a call at 785-263-3774, option 2, if you're needing more information or are interested.
Introduction and consideration of new resolutions. Resolution 040926, the Board of County Commissioners of Dickinson County to terminate CUP 24-06 for Hope Ridge Wind Project. I'm going to go ahead and read this letter. So this was requested us to terminate this CUP by and now. I want to make sure the record states that. As of the date of this letter, Hope Ridge Wind Project LLC respectfully requests the Board of County Commissioners to take the necessary action to revoke CUP 24-06 as originally approved in Resolution 121224, signed and dated by Ryan Prescott, authorized representative of the project. So just for the context of why we're doing this. So with that said, I'll open it up for discussion. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
I would move that we adopt resolution 040926. And that is for the Board of County Commissioners of Dickinson County to terminate the CUP 24-06, also known as the Hope Ridge Wind Project LLC.
So moved.
Second it.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Hope we can put this behind us. Moving down to other business, we have the consideration of structural steel bids and decking and sheeting for 566 3100 Avenue. I believe we talked about this last week, didn't we? Yeah. And the total, I thought we already passed this.
No, you didn't. That was
Okay. So the bids for structural steel on 566 3100 Avenue, it looks like staff is recommending Odin Enterprises, Inc. at $10,591.14. We had 3 other bids of north of $11,000, so Odin would win that bid. The bids for decking and sheeting on 566 3100 Avenue go to the well-discussed vendor, Wellborn Sales, at $27,879.50. I believe that is the entirety of it.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve the steel. Are there any questions or discussion? Sorry.
We can do this on the same motion then. So I would move that we accept the bid for the structural steel for 566 3100 Avenue, as staff recommends, from Odin Enterprises. And then the bids for the decking sheeting for 566 3100 Avenue, and that would be from Wellborn Sales.
So moved.
Second it.
Seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do you know when they're start work on that?
They're up in that area now, so it shouldn't be too long once they get the materials in.
Next is the consideration of quotes or Yeah, quotes to replace the doors on the motor grader shed located at 1077 3400 Avenue. And Ron actually went and looked at it on site. The door is gone. It's dry rotted. Needs replaced. So thank you, Ron, for doing that.
Yes, and I just want to compliment the motor grader operator up there. We need to give him a raise. It's sitting on a hill, this building. You can't stand up with the doors open or shut. I'm trying to take a picture of the doors that blown off of there. But I compliment the individual that's up there. I know who he is. But yes, he definitely, on my side of taking pictures, I've shared them with you guys. They need doors.
And this would replace it with a roll-up door, which would be much better.
That's it. With that said, the bid is set at $5,361.10. I don't know, it's a pretty big door. Here we go. 13.6 by 11.9. Is that right? No. Okay. And we're going to replace that with a roll-up door. So I assume that
We
includes.
did have another bid too,
Oh, we did. I'm sorry.
on the backside of it.
I apologize. So from Cheney Door Company, our bid was $53.61.10. And from Overhead Door Company, North Central Kansas, we were at $81.20.27. Staff would recommend the cheaper bid, I would assume.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to the sort for the bid for 536110 from Cheney.
Just perfect. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
And you can just sign that top one if you don't mind.
Just one. Next order of business is the appointment, and I don't have this written out anywhere.
Oh, you can give it back to me.
Yeah, I did, I think. The appointment of Amanda Koperich as Lincoln Township Treasurer. I should know this. I live in Lincoln. I didn't. Thank you. I'll go ahead and read the letter. The letter is, Dear County Commissioners, the letter is to inform you that we have found a replacement for our Lincoln Township Treasurer. We would like Amanda Koperich, 200 East Main, Solomon, Kansas, to replace outgoing Treasurer DeLynn Farson. If you have any questions, please contact Trevor Martin or Justin Reynolds. With that said, do we have a motion to appoint Amanda?
I'll make a motion to appoint Amanda Koperich to Lincoln Township Treasurer.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. You will inform Amanda, please, in Lincoln Township. Thank you. Last order of business, we talked about the study session. It was the 250th grant application that we put out. The county put out a sum of $30,000 in partnership. The money came from us, but we partnered with Community Foundation and Economic Development Corporation to look at these bids, accept them, evaluate them, and then determine where to go with them. I read them out this morning. If you want to review the study session, please don't make me read it again. But if you want to review that, you're more than welcome to. But I would ask a motion to approve unless you guys have more discussion on the matter. The total amount would be $30,000 paid out to about, I think it was 13 recipients.
13 recipients, and I would say that it's spread out amongst the communities across the county. Committee tried to look at that and make sure that it was spread out as evenly as we could for different projects.
Excuse me. I believe we had 20 applications altogether. Open it up for discussion.
So you'll notify these groups then as
Yes.
soon as we've approved this, and
then we'll run through.
I'll let you know when they need the money, I guess, and
well,
a checklist to make sure everything's done, as they said.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the grant applicants that were approved by the committee. As said earlier in the study session, I would entertain a motion to do so.
I would so move. I'll second it.
Any last discussion? I'll just add something. I know we're trying to cut stuff, but we got to remember that we're a community and that we can have some fun too. And that's what this is about. I love 4th of July. I think it's the best thing. We'll have it all in common. We're all Americans, so we can get behind this is the thought. So I just think it's great. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
And some of these events, I guess we'll have 4th of July quite a few times because some of these events are going
Yeah,
to
we
take
will.
place throughout the spring and the summer and early fall.
Okay, that concludes our business today. I would motion to, well, I'll let you guys sign that first. You which one? This one?
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second it.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Well.
It's.